I am Coach Randy Byrd. It is the Monday Mojo coaching call, high noon Pacific time. I'm in Puerto Rico today, so it's 3 o'clock Eastern. It's the eclipse is going on here pretty soon. So if you forgot about that, I don't think it's going over California, but I know everybody in Texas is outside looking for it. It's pretty cool. But what I'm going to bring you today is a training I did years ago at Keller Williams Realty. And I forget the name of it, but it was something kind of catchy. But it's basically, if you got dropped out of an airplane in a brand new place, what would you do in real estate? So if you literally got the clothes off your back and you had your belongings and you got thrown out of an airplane with a parachute, luckily, and you land in the middle of Ohio or Texas or Idaho or Utah or Florida, how are you going to do 12 transactions in the first year, right? And some of you might not be doing 12 transactions right now in your business. Whatever it is, I'm going to teach you a system to do one transaction a month. And this is just what I did in my real estate business. I didn't know anybody when I moved to Redding, California, my very first full year in real estate, 2003. I knew 3 people in the whole town, and I was related to 2, right? I was married to one, and sister-in-law was the other one, and then her boyfriend was the only guy I knew that was not family. Literally in the whole town. I knew nobody, not even a person at the Chevron station that I got gas, nobody. And I was able to be rookie of the year the first year. I wasn't satisfied. I did 108,000 GCI in my first 6 months at Coldwell Banker. I started there in I think it was about July or August of 2003. And then on the first of the year, I left and went to Remax. So my very first full year at Remax in 2004, from January to December 31st, I did 43 transactions and 338,000 GCI, my very first full year in real estate. And even though I made 108,000 at Coldwell Banker, I took home $38,000 GCI. I was on a 35 split with a 6% franchise fee on top of that. And I double-ended a couple and made a little more or whatever, but at 38, they took 66% of my money. And I went to Remax, it was 100% office. And I said, hey, 100%, I could do more than 43 deals. And I just didn't care. It was monthly, it was $1,500 a month. And I was freaked out. But again, I went for it, and it was just the best decision I ever made. And so I want to teach you what I did. I want to teach you what I did. Some of it's difficult. I didn't door knock. I was not afraid of cold calling. I did a lot of cold calling, but I did not door knock. That just didn't seem natural. I don't know. Knocking on people's doors, I felt like I was selling vacuums, not real estate. But calling people, I had no problem with, right? And I called 100 phone numbers a day. That's what my coach told me to do. I hired a coach, and I did this Floyd Wickman Sweat Hogs challenge thing. And he said, 100 dials a day until you get an appointment, or 100. It's one of the two. And a couple times I did get appointments on 30 or 40 dial, and I was done for the day. But twice I made an appointment on 99. That's a true story. Twice I got to 99 dialed, and then I talked to somebody and got an appointment. And to this day, I still say the script, and it's not going to all be about cold calling or calling people out of a phone book or otherwise. But I want to walk you through what I did. I didn't know any better. So one of the staples I did every single day took me about 2 hours, which guess what? 2 hours of power hour every day, right? My coach was not saying those words, but he was telling me what I had to do. Call 100 people a day, and it took me about 2 hours. And I said this, and I still say it to this day sometimes when I pick up the phone. Hi, this is Randy Byrd with Coldwell Banker CNC Properties here in beautiful Redding, California. I just have a real quick question for you. Are you thinking about buying, selling, investing, or renting real estate in the next 6 months where I might be able to help you? And they just go, nope, I have a realtor. No, thank you. I'm being carried out of this house in a pine box, whatever. But it was just a numbers game. I was calling 100 people a day, 500 people a week. And I was a military guy. My coach said do it. I was just disciplined to do it. And I remember the people walking through the office giving me a bad time. Oh, Randy's calling people selling vacuums again, or, whatever he's doing. And I was just like, dude, my coach said to do this. I don't know anything about real estate. I was a contractor. I don't know anything about real estate. I got lucky over at Coldwell Banker just on the up desk and different things, but they didn't teach me anything. And then so all of a sudden, I was doing that habit every single day. I'm an early guy. I was in the office at 7:15 every day. If you're not crushing it right now, if you're not reaching the goals that are like your goals, and you're not reaching the plateaus that you know you're capable of, are you the first one in the office, or are you the last one in the office? Do you go into the office? Do you plug in? Whatever, right? One thing I attribute to my success, I was the first one in the office every single day. I felt like I had to outwork everybody. I don't want to do that at this stage of my career, but you need to make a decision, right? So for me, the things that success leaves clues. Number one, I was the first one in the office. I was in there typically by 7:15. Rarely did I get in there by 8 o'clock, because I started my calls at 8 o'clock. I had to prepare and get ready. And the very first thing I did every single day, Kenny, what's the answer? You know this. You put in the rates today at 7.11. I don't know if Kenny's with us in spirit, but what I did every single morning.
Rates and hot sheets.
Exactly. Rates and hot sheet. Every day, I want to know what's going on in the real estate market. I'm looking at the hot sheet. How many homes sold? I could tell you exactly how many homes were on the market at any time. Like, not like, oh, a couple hundred. No, 173. And there's 62 pending. And there's 23 that are back on the market today. I knew my numbers in and out, because in making the phone calls, I had to say those kind of statistical, factual things to build credibility. So every single morning, very first thing, open up my MLS, literally first thing. And then I'm just studying the MLS. So what's new, what's going on, give me a talking point to have in my 8 to 10 o'clock calls. And then the next thing I did, so let's say number one is getting in early and being prepared for the day, because I think that's super valuable. And somebody that's a good typer, do me a favor. Put in the chat, just say, number one, get in the office early, right? And throw it in chat for me if you don't mind. Thank you. Number two, and I'll answer your question in a minute, Aline. And number two is power hour prospecting every single day. I will help you find something you enjoy to do on the phone, and you'll have to get over your drunk monkey about you being a sleazebox salesman, or being afraid of the phone, or call reluctance, or that's not me, I don't do that. You're in the sales business. So I'm going to break it to you very difficultly, or difficult. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm going to break it to you in the nicest way I can say it, is you're a salesman. You've got to, this is a contact sport. You've got to make sales calls, right? You can eventually build a business that is all repeat business, referral business, and those sales calls really become friend calls. But you've got to build up to that. So number two is power hour prospecting every day. Minimum 1 hour. 2 hours is really the sweet spot. 3 hours is crushing it. I have a little rule right now that's absolutely gospel in this real estate market. With all my top clients, I have clients that do 1,000 transactions a year, or did. I'm kind of getting rid of my one-on-one clients because of my organization size and my group coaching programs. But when I was full-fledged coaching, I had 2 clients, one in Utah, one in Canada, and where was he? Not Vancouver, but he was in Calgary. 1,000 transactions a year, 1,200 the guy in Calgary. And guess what? We talked about the exact same things. But you know the difference is, I have a client over here, let's call her Susie. I don't see a Susie on here. I got Susie over here that's doing 7 transactions a year, asking to get to 12. And I got this guy in Calgary doing 1,200. I talked to Susie, I go, how many calls did you make this week? You know, I'm excited to hear your success story. Well, this week was really challenging. I had buyers in town. I had, my sister came to visit, and then I was going to make calls, but my cell phone battery was dead. It was just every week it sounded the same. And I talked to my guy in Calgary, and he's like, 3 hours every day. What are you talking about? It's like non-negotiable. I go, really? He goes, yeah, absolutely. I lock my door. If I had to, I'll take my clothes off, throw them outside, and tell him not to get them back to me until my 3 hours is up. It's like his life and business depended on it. And he's doing 1,200 transactions a year. You would think he had no time, and this one have all the time. But that's just a success clue. Right? So you guys see how important it is to me. You get the point of why I'm saying number two is so powerful. And if you're not doing it, please find a way to do it, because everything else we do is not going to matter. So then when I was done with my calls at 10 o'clock, I returned all my messages. I returned my curious questions I had on emails and texts and all things about, any website hits, anything I could do to like follow up prospecting until lunch. So number 3 is followed up with any lead generation or business needs for the next 2 hours. And by the way, sometimes I had 1 or 2 follow-ups. So I had 2 hours to design a new template or to order a sign or whatever I wanted to do, but I had to get that fact done first, right? So number 3 is follow-up, right? I had 2 hours a day of follow-up that I had scheduled until noon. So type that in for me, please, somebody. Number 3, follow-up, correct. So follow-up, and that is all things, lead generation, message returning. I didn't do any of that before my 10 o'clock freedom, right? 2 hours, correct. For me, it was 10 to 12. Now you could do it 10 to 11. You could do whatever you want to do. And then at noon, I went to lunch and I was purposeful about my lunch. Tried to take somebody I know to lunch, tried to take a vendor. Title companies were always asking me to go to lunch. Lenders, how many lenders do you need, right? At first I was like, I'll take a free sandwich, but I became purposeful about who I wanted to meet with at my lunch. And lunch was typically over by 1 o'clock. And then for the rest of the day, I drove around and did real estate until 5 o'clock when I called my day done. And that was just whatever's going on in that. And that means being purposeful about adding people to your database. But here's where things really turned for me, is I started joining every group I can get my fingers on. And so I'm going to put number 4 as joining groups, because the power of this is one to many, right? If you're brand new in Utah and you start trying to call people out of the phone book, or you're door knocking, or you're doing open houses for other agents. By the way, open houses is coming up next. But if you're trying to do those things, it's 1-to-1, meaning you one person are having one conversation somewhere. When I join a collective group, when I join LaTip, Exchange Club, Rotary, men's club at the golf course, women's club at the golf course, whatever it is that it's great if you align with something you already enjoy. But if you could find a way to plug into something that you enjoy, it's going to change everything. Because guess what? That Rotary group has 70 people in it that you now have the authority and ability to call them and say, hey, I'm brand new at Rotary. I want to get to know you. Can we set up a little call soon? Janelle, tell me everything about you. How long you been in Rotary? Tell me what you do. What's your business? How can I support you? When you add those valuable things, reciprocity is going to kick in and they're going to go, whoa, tell me about you now. Well, thank you for asking. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm a real estate broker, new in town, super excited. I specialize in this kind of customer service, whatever it may be, right? So these groups became the launching pad. And guess what? I was brand new greenhorn in the group for a while, just getting to know people, but being very purposeful. And then I got invited to be the vice president, then the president. And then I was the speaker for the Chamber of Commerce. I was speaker for the Police Officers Association. I was the MC for the Fireman of the Year Award, all through these club affiliations. So then now I'm speaking to 350 sworn police officers and their spouses as the MC of the Peace Officer and the Fireman of the Year Award. I did that for 4 years. Don't you think everybody loves you at the front of the room when you're loving on them and giving them awards and different things? So all of a sudden we started getting into the groups with, like, the police department, for instance, offering a discount for any of the LE, the law enforcement officers and their families. Pretty significant discount. And then I found out my lender had another discount. So we put the Home for Heroes program on top of all of our first responders and all that stuff. And think about that for a minute, right? So I'm talking about a bunch of different things, but you see how they kind of start expanding within themselves, right? When you're being very purposeful about joining groups, get outside your comfort zone and join groups. If you love quilting, get into quilting groups. There's 70 people that love quilting and they're getting to know you, right? LaTip is, I'll give you a warning, LaTip, Rotary, they're full of realtors now. They're literally full of realtors. So my suggestion is starting your own group now, like Town Sites is starting to do, and Brent's done an amazing job with Town Sites. But Town Sites is like a virtual BNI. You don't have to have a location. You don't have to, no members are there already. You're the realtor that's building it. And you could do this without this mechanism of anything. Just get a Facebook group and say, I'm going to be really purposeful about all the vendors in town, and just tell them I'm going to only allow one of each kind of vendor in here. and we're going to partner and I'm going to support you. And by the way, can I get on your mailing list and throw some value into your clients? And then you can get into my mailing list and throw some value at my clients. Right? Who's thought of this before? You could name any profession you want. Just somebody shout out any profession, from roofing to CPA to a doctor. It doesn't matter.
Dentist.
Dentist. Beautiful. Dentist. How many clients does the average dentist have in his dentist office?
Probably a couple hundred.
Nope. It's like 2,000.
Wow.
It's 2,000. So imagine, let's just say 1,000 is a round number. You go to dentist, you say you have 1,000 clients, and because you're talking teeth cleaning and whitening and braces and the whole deal, right? So you have 1,000 clients to your one. Just say, hey, do you have a real estate agent that you love and you endorse and you can support? And if they don't, say, I'd like to partner with you. And you could still use other people. If you love somebody to sell your house, I'm looking at something bigger. And I want to add value to your database. Do you have a newsletter to do monthly? No, you don't? Let's build one. I will help you build it. It's going to go out to your database, but it's going to be all about you. I just want a little bit of edification of what we do and kind of give your people value. Value is not saying Randy is a great real estate agent on your newsletter. Value is saying, I'm going to pay for your home warranty. I'm going to pay for your home inspection. I'm going to guarantee this. I'm going to discount your rate by 0.5 if you're in this group. Something of value. The dentist looks good. The office looks good. And then now you're into a database of thousands of people potentially, especially if they start allowing you to get it, if they build the trust to where they allow you in their database. You're not going to get that on day one, right? It's going to be built over trust. You see the power of that one thing when we talk about groups. So join groups is a big statement. But if you're purposeful, I think you can add 5,000 people into a database in 1 year by being purposeful about this. Softball teams. If you don't like softball, like I love softball. I used to play it when I was younger, but I'm too old for that now. I break my ankle and run around and getting hurt all the time. It's just, that ship has sailed. It's okay, but I still love it. So you could sponsor softball tournaments. You could sponsor a banner on the back of the field, but they have to look at that, then they have to call you. I want to sponsor something so I can get in there and get their databases. Right? I want to be able to email everybody in that group because I'm the sponsor for it or something along those lines. Dentist is a great example. But there's roofers. By the way, there's 20 roofers, not just one. You could offer the same thing to 20 roofers. So how purposeful do you want to be about falling out of this airplane into Utah and doing a lot of transactions? I did 43 my first full year in real estate. And I'm telling you that it all came from this because I knew nobody. And so when Keller Williams originally asked me to teach this, I'm like, I don't know what I did. I just did whatever. I was scared. I needed to do something. And they're like, well, whatever you did, can we recreate that? And I said, I'm telling you, all I did was everything I could think to do. And all of a sudden they're like, that's brilliant. What'd you do here? And it turned into something that was kind of special. And so it may be you rebooting your real estate business. Patrick's got a great business. Kenny's got a great business. You might just reboot your business. Kristen's got a great business up by Portland. By the way, this is about referrals. Kristen's in Portland. Patrick's down in Sacramento area. Kenny's in Galt. Right? So when you look at it from this perspective, things change. And when you look at it from a perspective that, hey, I need to get a lot of people in my database and I need to do it in tall fashion, like fast. This is a way to allow you to do that by joining groups. And there's so many groups now on Facebook and things. By the way, when you join a Facebook group, as soon as you get it accepted in, do you know what happens? You have access to all 1,000 people in the Facebook group. That allows another opportunity to DM them. Because you usually don't have their phone number unless it's posted in Facebook. A lot of people are private in a lot of that information, emails and phone numbers and things. But you'd be surprised about 1,000. I guarantee you 200 has their email and phone number in there. Maybe a lot more. And then if they go to the business page, you're definitely going to get their information, right? But most people we're talking about, if they have a business, they have a business page. But usually you're going to see them individually in this group. Being purposeful with that, with a nice welcome email. Hey, Patrick, Randy Byrd, I just joined Loving tennis or loving pickleball, right? That's the craze right now. I just joined Loving Pickleball. I just wanted to reach out to the members and say hi. I'm here in Oregon, you're in Portland, whatever it is. And just have that little bit of DM conversation. You're not asking for anything. That's not what this call's about. This is just about building a database. And then you go, Patrick, great talking to you. Hey, if I sent you something like super occasionally, like maybe once a month, just to like what's going on with the real estate market, how many homes sold, how many didn't, what's the average sales price, would that be valuable to you?
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool. I'll get you on the list. What's your best email?
Patrick@ownplaster.com.
Okay, cool. And I don't have a lot of time to call you, Patrick. Unless you need me, you call me, I'll answer. But I'm not going to call you and just randomly, call you. But what's the best number for you if I needed to call you and it was something important, something to do with the group or something like that was hot that you needed to know right now? What's the best number for you?
916-316-5626.
Okay, cool. Was there any hesitant in your mind that you would give out that information framed like I did it?
No, you've been super helpful on the group, so I figured we could stay in touch that way.
100%. You see what I'm saying? And it
By
is
the way,
this.
by the way, are you looking to get insurance? Or let's talk about my roofing company or whatever else.
Yeah, and when you DM say, hey, can we talk for a couple minutes? I'm new to the group, but I'd love to just connect with you for 3 minutes. I don't really know that many people yet. You could do that all the way until you get to 1,000, right? I don't know everybody in this group yet. Do you mind if we connect for a couple minutes? You're on $9.99. You can say the same thing. And then once you've done that and you're on the line, hey, Patrick, so tell me, what can I do for you, right? I'll tell you about me in a minute. You see, it's almost dismissive. Instead of going, hey, I'd really like to talk to you about your real estate needs, and I have a big team, and I have cool signs, and my business cards are legit, right? That's all about you. When I go, Patrick, tell me about your business. So you're in insurance. How many years? What do you specialize in? That's amazing. I don't have anybody that does whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And then, hey, would you mind sending me a business card? Let me give you my address, send your business card to me.
Yeah, let me get your email and phone too while we're at it.
What did I just create? I created reciprocity again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's really, really important here. By creating that reciprocity. When I say, hey, would you mind sending me your business card so I can keep it on file? Hey, by the way, what's the best address to send mine? They're not going to say no if they gave you, if they're sending you something, right? Or if they give you the address. So reciprocity is super important when it comes to those kind of sales questions to me. Right? So now that you've gone through this vendor program, this is it's literally, there's no ceiling to this. You could keep doing it over and over and over and over. I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking just a street, and I'm trying to picture the business on it. Dry cleaner next to my office. I walked in there and I said, hey, how many clients do you guys serve? He goes, all right, we have like 3,000 clients. I go, do you have any real estate agents you literally recommend because they're the amazing? And the guy goes, yeah, Ray Alt, right next, he's in your office. Ray Alt is our guy. He's got the big van out front, says you could use this van to move and all that stuff. And I go, that's awesome if you want to move. But what about if I gave every client of yours like $500 off their transaction? Would that move the needle? And he's like, you would do that? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I'd love to do that. So can I get in? How do we do this? Your newsletter? What's the best way? And he goes, I'll put it all over the place. He goes, do you have any cards you can put on the counter? And I'll tell them when they come in, hey man, $500 off just for using us. And I'm like, awesome. Right? Ray Alt was out the window because Ray's leaning on a truck. Who cares? You see the point though? And again, I wasn't a superstar. I was scared. I was hungry. I was just hungry, honestly. And then once I got that taste, once I did 338,000 GCI from Remax, I got my little platinum trophy for over 250. And I was kind of, strutting a little bit better and started getting invited to the big baller conferences and speaking about top producer stuff. I started really enjoying that. But really what made me successful is the hungry, gritty, scared. I was scared out of my mind. I moved to Reading with my ex-wife and knew 3 people again, related to 2. All right. So who on the call feels differently about their business right now than they did 20 minutes ago? Anybody? Couple people? The world is your oyster if you look at it from a different lens. If you look at it through a different optic, then you believe what's possible. And if you're sitting there with a small database, it's critically important for you to get that database up like immediately, because that's what this is all about. Elena, you've been very patient. 3 questions. I'm going to answer them for you.
Thank you so much. Question 1 was about the hot sheet. Is that something you found in the MLS and Paragon?
Thank you. Yes, it's in the MLS. In my MLS, it's on the far right-hand top side, and it has red bars of how many listings, how many escrows. The big thing you want to know is how many listings are active on the market, how many pendings, how many recently closed, and then really important in this changing market is how many expireds or withdrawals there are. Those are the real critical components. And then I look at price adjustments. If I'm looking for like something that moved a lot, I can sense motivation and stuff. But knowing those metrics are hugely important. Every MLS has them. It wouldn't be valuable for me to show you my MLS because everybody's a little different. We got probably 6 MLSs just on this call. But the bottom line is, if you can't find it, please make a phone call to the MLS and just say, I'm looking for a hot sheet. My coach said to look at the hot sheet every day, and they're going to give you the directions to find it, and then you got it forever. But if you look at just the hot sheet every day, it would be incredibly valuable for you to get a finger on the market.
Randy, can I make a suggestion? If you're calling like Randy's suggesting, and you're probably be calling a neighborhood, just pull all the sales for that neighborhood too. The group ones are great, but if you know, hey, your neighbor around the corner just sold, or that, because if you don't know that immediately, you lose.
It's a great point. And as you're growing this database, one of the most powerful things you can do is call all the neighbors when a house just sells. Now, how many houses sell on an average day in your MLS? What's the number? Hundreds, right? Maybe not in Bend, but even dozens at least. You have at least dozens of properties closing every day, right? I don't know if you know your metrics. How many houses close in Bend every day?
Between 30 and 35. Like there's
okay, 30 and 35. What about if you only called 20 neighbors around that one particular house that sold? And that's 350 calls you have to make a day. It's not possible.
Not possible.
It's not possible. But think about that. Just scale that back to whatever you're comfortable with. It could be 10 houses that are cool looking, and then you call 10 people. That's still 100 people a day. And now you're talking very specific. Hey, Janelle, I wanted to call you because 123 Banana Street just sold. I know you're one of the neighbors. I'm just curious. Did you hear about what it sold for? It sold for $318, or it sold for $692. It's on the market 72 days and had a couple offers, it looks like. I read that in MLS, and it sold. And, I'm just curious. Do you have any thoughts of selling your house, or even a curious idea of what your house is worth right now? Can I provide some value to you? Right? And that's now business, and that's now activity that you can be making in your business. And by the way, does it matter if it's your listing or sell? No, it doesn't. You're an agent. You can have that phone call. Now you have all the information. Once it closes, they say how much the concessions were. All that stuff feels like it's inside information. It's yours, but it's not yours. It's not yours. You're borrowing it. And when I call, I don't go, hey, Sally Sue just sold a house at 123 Banana Street. I was just curious if you want to sell your house. That's not going to work. Hey, Randy Byrd, eXp Realty, we just sold a house at 123 Banana Street. It closed yesterday. I was just curious. Did you see how much it closed for? Closed for $682. Had $10,000 in commissions, or $10,000 in concessions. I was just curious. Do you have any other questions about the house? Who's moving in? I didn't represent them specifically, so I don't know who's moving in, but I just want to see if you had any thoughts of buying, selling, investing, or renting real estate that I might be able to help you in. Did you sell the house? No, I didn't sell the house. I'm an agent, and it's on the hot sheet this morning. I was just curious if you knew about it. It's super simple, right? Elena, did you have a couple other questions? I want to make sure.
I do. Thank you. So you mentioned starting your calls at 8 a.m. I've been starting at 9, so I'm assuming 8 a.m. is not too early then to call people?
8 a.m. is not too early. Expireds will call them at about 6 in the morning. 6:30, 7 is pretty average for expireds because they're trying to be the first one to talk to them. I find it disrespectful to call before 8, personally. right? If I don't know them,
So,
I'll call anybody before 8 a.m. But 8 a.m. is working time. 8 a.m. is time to work.
okay,
You could do
got it.
9 to
Thank you.
11. I have zero problems with 9 to 11. I have zero problems with
Mhm.
12 to 1. I have zero problems with 5:30 to 7:30 at night. Matter of fact,
Mhm.
you'll reach more people 5:30 to 7:30 than you will 8 to 10. But
Okay, thank you.
I don't want to work at 7:30 at night.
My last question, you mentioned Homes for Heroes and a plane went above my head when you were talking about that. It was something
Yeah.
I was considering partnering with. Did you work with them also?
I know of them. I worked with a couple lenders that had Home for Heroes, and they had another one that was called something else. The bottom line is find one that gives discounts to military or first responders and then pass that on. I was in one where they got 1% off. I put in 0.5%, the lender put in 0.5%. So they got 1% rebate. That's a big number. When you're talking 500,000 bucks, that's $5,000 rebate they got. 2,500 from my commission, 2,500 from the lender. Now look into your specific regions and lenders and all that stuff. But just ask the lender, hey, I want to do an incentive program specifically for military, or, they have everything from, agricultural type land specialties and different things. But for me, I'm a veteran, and that was close to me. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So did I inspire you today to make a little difference in your thought process? Right? To have you take something that I talked about. Let's go over as we wrap up. And I got my team call next, and I see a couple of my team members popping in. Go over the hot sheet every single day. So number one was get in early. If you're one of those agents that roll in at 10 o'clock because you're just not a morning person, I will crush you in real estate. Real estate's not working at 10 o'clock, right? If you have, again, I'm going to say certain circumstance, you have kids you drop off and you've committed your family life until 10 o'clock, and then you come in and work 10 to 6, 10 to 4, whatever it is, I'm not judging you. I'm not shaming on you. I'm just saying, look at the top producer in the office and see if he rolls in at 10 or 10:30. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And then now I'll let you run your business like you want to run it. So for me, it was getting in early was a big deal. And then number two, power hour prospecting every single day. Why are you looking at her right now? That was an inside joke. Power hour prospecting every day. I'll be honest with you. I prospected every single day from 8 to 10 for maybe close to 2 years in my real estate business. And I got a new coach, and he looked at my numbers and he goes, you're not reaching enough people. And I go, well, I can't avoid that. And he goes, yeah, you can call them in a different time. And I'm like, duh, I literally didn't even think about that. Right. So I started going from 9 to 10, and then from 5:30 to 6:30 on my patio at my house. I lived on the golf course. I'd come home. I was probably a drunk back in this time frame, but I was making a margarita every day. And I was sitting on my back patio, especially in beautiful Redding. It was sunny 9 months of the year. And I was just sitting there sipping on a margarita, making my calls. I looked forward to it. At 4:30 at the office, instead of going, oh my God, I got to make calls. Like, I'm going to have a margarita and sit on my patio and smoke a cigar and call people. And I literally did that for well over a year. And guess what? My numbers just went way up because people are home at 5:30 or 6:30 at night. Right. So I'd call them in the morning. If I didn't reach them, they'd be back on my nighttime list to call at 5:30. And then my call contact ratios doubled. So you might need to make a little tweak in your business like that. If your database is full of working individuals, you're not going to reach them at 9 o'clock. It's not going to happen. Right. And then number three was follow-up, really critical. So I talked about a schedule, 8 to 10 for this conversation of making calls, and then 10 to 12 follow-ups. That means somebody wants a CMA. Like literally on my 8 to 10, if somebody goes, yeah, we want to list our house, I don't stop everything I'm doing. This takes a lot of discipline. I go, hey, I could reach out. I could talk to you at 10 o'clock. I still have other things I got to handle. And I stayed in my activity, because if you take the first phone call and start running down a bunny trail for an hour and a half doing a CMA, and then they don't list it with you, you lost that. You can never get it back. So I had a second pocket window for that, which was 10 to 12. I'd do CMAs. I'd go visit a house if I need to. It was like a free time, but it was for follow-ups. And then the next thing that was really impactful for me in the beginning of my career was joining groups, like literally going big on this one. I was literally, when I moved to Redding, I knew nobody. And in 2 years, they were asking me to run for city council and mayor and all this stuff that I did not want to do, but I just knew everybody. I was the president of the air show. I was the I think the second year I was in radio, I was the vice president of the Exchange Club that put on the air show. I was in the Rotary. I was in La Tip. I joined the country club, the golf course, because I love to golf. I'm always doing deals on the golf course. I listed $10 million in property in the first year I moved to Santa Rosa because I joined Santa Rosa Country Club. And it's just very purposeful. I was what groups? Not only did I join the golf course, but then I was like, Kyle's in Santa Rosa, and he just took me to lunch at Santa Rosa Country Club. But not only did I just join the golf course, I go, hey, what groups are in here? Well, they have poker on Tuesday night. I want that. And we have a men's club that plays every Wednesday at 7, like 4:30 in the afternoon. I go, I want that too. What else do you have? Well, you want to run for the board? I'm like, no, I don't want to come to board meetings. There's only 12 people there. I want the masses, right? And then guess what? I got into the invite lists for all these things that had all 700 members in them. And then every one of them were in my database. And every time I had a new listing and around the country club, it called everybody in the list. And I just said, hey, Bill, I don't think we met. I think we might have played golf together, but we got a brand new listing over here on 16th hole. Just curious, do you know anybody looking to buy something on the golf course? Because this is a good place. Not even my listing, right? It's just a new listing that came up in that area. You getting something from this, hopefully? All right, cool. I see a lot of nodding heads. I appreciate it. I'm going to let all you guys go now. I love this topic. If you have any further questions, I'm here every Monday. And, I'm here to support you. But this is what I did. And this is what worked. And I took that to 140 transactions in just a couple of years. And you can do the same thing. All right, if you want it. Unwinding the clock, I wouldn't want that again. I'd do something different, but it's okay. All right. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Randy.
Kyle and a
Thank
couple of
you.
my other team members stick around. I'll be right with you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great day.